Imagine this. The sirens scream, missiles rip through the night, and within hours, India versus Pakistan explodes into full-scale war. But here's the question. Would Pakistan endure, or would the war end before it even understands what happened? Because India isn't preparing for a battle of years or months. It has a lightning-fast doctrine built to strike with speed, shock, and precision. A strategy so ruthless that within just 24 hours, Pakistan could be brought to its knees. The chain of events began with Operation Sindoor on 7th May 2025. India's retaliation for the Pahalgam terror attack, where 26 innocent lives were lost. In return, 80 terrorists were neutralized in a tri-services mission involving the Army, Air Force, and Navy. Between 1:05 and 1:30 a.m., within a span of just 25 minutes, India struck 9 pre-identified terror hubs. In Pakistan and POK, these weren't random targets. They were the backbone of groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and Hizbul Mujahideen. At Murdak, India hit the fortress of Hafiz Saeed and Liti, the outfit behind 2611. At Bahawalpur, the headquarters of JEM was attacked, killing members of Masood Azhar's own family. At Barnala, a launch site for LET terror attacks was destroyed. Every location was chosen to cripple Pakistan's terror infrastructure, not its civilians. And India made that clear. These were measured, focused strikes. But Pakistan didn't take this lightly. On 8th May, it attempted missile strikes on 15 Indian cities. Yet every single one was intercepted by India's S-400 Sudarshan Chakra defense system. India's counterpunch? Blowing up Pakistan's Chinese-made HQ-9 air defense systems in 9 cities. By doing this, India played a clever game. The strikes crossed both the line of control and the international border, while still staying below the threshold of reckless escalation. India even suspended the Indus Water Treaty, signaling that old rules no longer applied. Now Pakistan is cornered with only 2 options: step back and accept the message that this is a new India, bold enough to strike Islamabad if provoked further. Escalate into war, which would hand India the perfect justification to unleash its redefined 24-hour war doctrine. Either way, Pakistan loses. To understand India's modern advantage, let's rewind. In 2001, when 5 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists stormed India's parliament, the entire nation demanded justice. New Delhi launched Operation Pahalgam, a massive mobilization of troops towards the Pakistan border. But what followed was a humiliating lesson. For weeks, tanks and soldiers slowly crawled from central India to the front lines. By the time they reached, Pakistan had already taken defensive positions and secured diplomatic backing from the United States. The element of surprise was lost, and the momentum of public anger evaporated. After a 10-month-long standoff, Indian troops were forced to withdraw without firing a decisive shot. That failure exposed the cracks in the Sundarji Doctrine, India's old military philosophy. It was built around heavy, lumbering strike corps that moved too slowly to respond to modern warfare. Pahalgam proved that this model was outdated, predictable, and ineffective against an adversary as volatile as Pakistan. So in 2004, India decided to reinvent its war strategy. Out came a doctrine that would rewrite the rules of South Asian warfare: the Cold Start Doctrine. And its inspiration? The legendary Blitzkrieg of Nazi Germany in World War II. Blitzkrieg, meaning lightning war, was the strategy that allowed Germany to overrun most of Europe in under 2 years. Its essence was simple: shock your enemy with speed, overwhelm them with synchronized attacks, and strike from unexpected directions before they even know what's happening. India studied these principles carefully and developed its own version, tailor-made for the subcontinent. Here's how Cold Start works. Unlike the slow-moving strike corps of the past, Cold Start breaks the army into integrated battle groups, IBGs. Smaller, highly mobile units of 7,000 to 8,000 troops. Each IBG is a self-contained powerhouse, equipped with tanks, artillery, infantry, and even its own air support. These groups can be deployed within hours, not weeks, and can push 15 to 20 kilometers inside Pakistan in just 6 hours. Instead of one giant strike, multiple IBGs attack simultaneously from different sectors. especially the plains of Punjab and Rajasthan, overwhelming Pakistan's defenses before they can react. The doctrine also avoids triggering Pakistan's nuclear threshold. Instead of deep territorial captures like Lahore or Sialkot, the IBGs focus on limited gains of 40 to 50 kilometers, enough to inflict heavy damage and psychological shock, but not enough for Pakistan to justify nuclear escalation. Meanwhile, India's pivot core, once purely defensive, have now been modernized with offensive capabilities, ensuring the borders remain secure even while IBGs strike deep inside enemy lines. So, what would a real cold start war look like in action? From hour 1 to 6, India's IBGs storm across 4 to 5 entry points, tearing through Pakistani defenses and slicing nearly 15 kilometers inside enemy territory with such suddenness and precision that Pakistan barely understands what just happened. By hour 7 to 12, shock turns into panic as Pakistan retaliates with missiles and airstrikes, but many misfire or go astray, scrambled by India's radar jammers. In the skies, Rafales, Mirages, and Jaguars dominate the dogfights, ensuring complete air superiority, while Indian drones and surveillance systems feed live data, making every strike smarter and deadlier. Moving into hour 12 to 18, the Indian Navy steps in. Already stationed in the Arabian Sea, its ships close in on Karachi's ports. Pakistan's economic lifeline, choking global trade routes and suffocating Pakistan's fragile economy. Finally, by hour 18 to 24, Pakistan finds itself cornered on all fronts. Fuel and ammunition stocks dwindle rapidly. On the ground, India holds captured territory. In the air, Indian jets rule the skies. At sea, Pakistan is strangled. And as global power, the US, UN, even China, rush to demand restraint, it is already too late, for India holds territorial gains and diplomatic bargaining chips that Pakistan simply cannot match. And here lies Pakistan's nightmare. Its military machine is collapsing under its own weight. Artillery and fuel reserves can barely sustain 4 days of combat. Fighter jets are already running low on fuel. The economy? On life support, propped up by endless Chinese loans that do little more than delay the inevitable. In plain words, Pakistan cannot fight a long war, but even a short 24-hour cold start blitz would devastate its defenses, economy, and global standing. And India knows this. The world knows this. That is why Pakistan's leaders shout threats from podiums, but hesitate in reality. They understand what a real clash would mean. Need proof? Just look at Balakot, 2019. When Pakistan captured Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman, India responded with unmatched fury. New Delhi's warning was clear: release him or face the consequences. The result? Within 48 hours, panic spread through Islamabad. Eyewitnesses admitted that even Pakistan's army chief was trembling. Under intense pressure, Prime Minister Imran Khan rushed to release Abhinandan, disguising it as a peace gesture. But the truth was obvious. It was fear. If that was the fear in 2019, imagine what it would be today, when India's military is far stronger, its economy booming, and its global influence at an all-time high. India's story is not just about defending land. It is about defending hope, dignity, and the dream of tomorrow. The weapons are ready, yes, but they are guided by something far greater: the belief that no child should wake to the sound of war, but to the light of opportunity. That is why India stands strong, not for conquest, but for peace built on unshakable power. So the real question is not whether India can defeat Pakistan. That answer is already clear. The real question is, will peace ever come without war? Because if Pakistan ever dares to escalate into a full-scale conflict, it may learn the harshest lesson of all: that in just 24 hours, India has the power to decide the fate of the battlefield. And when the dust settles, the world will remember. This is the India of today: fearless, strategic, unstoppable, and if forced into war, an India that leaves its enemy with no tomorrow. War is never India's choice, but if it becomes Pakistan's mistake, then 24 hours is all it will take.